everyone. Salam alaikum. Hola a todos. This is Emily Amon, and I'm here to teach you how to grow food to heal people and planet. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing companion planting. This is a really important part of your planning before you start planting, and it's going to help you greatly to increase the biodiversity of what you're growing, to attract in the right kind of insects that are going to help with pollinating your plants and help with controlling the insects that you don't want around your garden, and also to deter the pests that are going to cause havoc on certain specific plants that you're growing. So there's lots of different ways that you can do companion planting. I have actually put together a companion planting ultimate guide that I created myself after about 2 years of research, both through books and reading online, as well as actually in situ in the ground growing in Maryland. And so the companion planting ultimate guide is what I came up with after lots of research and experimentation. And you're going to see a photograph of that, and I'm also including that information in the description. If you haven't already, I invite you to like this video and also to subscribe to the channel so that you can get all the latest updates on how you can grow food to heal people and planet, and different ways that you can modify your lifestyle in a way that is going to be healing for you, for your family, for your community, and for the lands and waters where you live. So back to companion planting. So you can see some examples of companion planting right in front of us here. For example, in this container, and this does work well in containers, you can companion plant strawberries. These are specifically seascape strawberries, which is what's called an everbearing variety, meaning that they will produce berries not only in May, but throughout the spring, the summer, and the autumn. And then borage, which are little seedlings over here right now, which is an absolutely wonderful herb. It's a medicinal herb. It actually helps to bring more minerals from the subsoil up to the surface of the soil. And it has really beautiful blue star-shaped flowers. The leaves are really packed full of lots of nutrients, and they sort of taste like cucumber. Once those leaves are mature and ready to be harvested, I really like to take those borage leaves and put them into smoothies with some mint and some lemon juice or lime juice. It's really quite delicious and very nutritious. And then the borage flowers can also be harvested and dried and used as a tea, which is sort of a sedative and a calming tea. And this is the seed packet for borage, and it has an image there where you can see the star-shaped blue flowers. These are an annual, which means you do need to plant them every year, and they're really excellent at attracting in pollinators. Now, there are a few plants which are pretty much all around great companion plants for just about anything that you want to plant. And you can see them in front of you right now. So I'm going to name those plants that are great all around companion plants that will help with just about anything that you want to companion plant it with in terms of vegetables. And that includes thyme. I don't have any here, but oregano is really excellent, and thyme and oregano are both going to deter pests away from your vegetable plants. Borage is a really excellent companion plant. French marigold is really fantastic for just about anything. It's really going to help to deter the insects that you don't want. Tarragon, either French tarragon or Mexican tarragon, is really great. Sauvage is a wonderful herb, great companion plant for anything. This is some sauvage right here, and I have it companion planted with spinach in this pot. And then the other thing to note is that sauvage, marjoram, and tarragon will actually stimulate the growth of vegetables and boost their flavor. So all of these, the thyme, oregano, borage, French marigolds, tarragon, and lauvage are great companion plants for just about anything. And as I mentioned earlier, that the borage is one of the very best companion plants for strawberries. And another great companion plant for strawberries is chives. So now we're going to be coming back around, and you can see this is the companion planting ultimate guide that I created. And part of what you can see in this companion planting ultimate guide that I created is that I also wanted to make this user-friendly for people who are growing in containers. So if you don't have access to land, if you don't have a backyard or access to grow in a community garden, but you have a balcony or deck in an apartment, then where things are underlined in blue within the same bullet point is going to tell you which plants are going to grow well together in containers. And companion planting in containers can be a little bit tricky because you have to be more careful as far as watering requirements. Another tip that I'm going to throw in here is that part of how I put together this companion planting ultimate guide is based on a permaculture principle called guilds, which is basically a fancy way of saying companion planting. But guilds also tries to fully utilize a space as much as possible, planting at all different layers or levels of the space. So for example, you might plant a fruit tree, that's your tallest story, and then beneath that you might plant some dwarf fruit trees. At another level down you might plant some blackberry bushes or other berry bushes, and then beneath that you would have some tall medicinal herbs such as echinacea, or also tomates are about the same height as well. And then down further close to the ground you would have ground covers like strawberries, and then beneath the soil you would have things like carrots and garlic, and then you would also use vines. So for example, you might have a maypop vine vining around those trees that you have. But if you are keeping it simple, you don't have to do all that, and I'm going to show you exactly what things are great to companion plant together, starting with what is it that you would want to start in the early spring. So if you would like to plant some fava beans or other types of spring beans, they companion plant really well with spinach, radish, and dill. And as you can see in this system, we're again taking advantage of all the different layers. So those fava beans are going to be growing taller above the soil, they're going to vine. The spinach and the dill, actually the dill is a little bit higher above the soil but not as tall as those fava beans. The spinach is at the next level down and the radishes are beneath the soil. And all of these also work together to deter pests based on the different smells that they produce. Next, we have the companion plants of beets, spinach, Swiss chard, and calendula. So the beets and the spinach and the Swiss chard, all of these are more cold weather crops, and so you can start those earlier. And then the calendula needs a lot more heat. So later, when your beets and spinach and Swiss chard start to go into later in the season, is when you could plant the calendula wherever they are. And one bonus tip that I'd like to give you all is that when you grow beets, you can actually eat the beet greens as well as the part of the beet that's beneath the soil. Another great companion planting is onions, carrot, and calendula. Again, you're starting those carrots earlier in the season. A little bit later, you want to start your onions and then the calendula. Getting into the warmer season, cucumbers are a really great companion plant with dill, which of course they also pair well if you want to make your own pickles. And they also plant well with borage. And nasturtiums are a very, very vigorous flower that is a good companion plant with cucumbers because it's going to attract in more pollinators. And the more pollinators that you can attract to your cucumber plants to get them pollinated, the more fruits that your plants will then produce. Okay, now we're getting into the warm weather crops that everybody's really excited about, which is tomates. And tomates, they pair really well with basil, which helps to deter tomato hornworms because of its smell, carrots beneath the soil, and chives. And those chives also are going to create a smell deterrent, so that anything that is trying to go after your tomatoes is deterred by the smell of the basil and the smell of the chives, and then you're taking full advantage of the carrots being underneath the soil. Plus, carrots love tomatoes. They actually have a symbiotic relationship beneath the soil. Here is another grouping of companion plants, which is snap peas, spinach, radish beneath the soil, okra, which of course you're going to start later because it needs a lot of heat, and eggplant, which you're also going to start later because it needs a lot of heat. If you are intending to grow okra in containers, I highly recommend that you get a smaller, shorter hybrid variety, such as this Baby Bubba hybrid okra. This is also advisable if you are growing in a straw bale garden. It just can't really handle, the straw bale gardens can't really handle full-sized tall okra, so it's better to get an okra that's about half the height of your usual okra. So these are a great planting: snap peas, spinach, radish, okra, and eggplant. Another tip with eggplant is you actually want to start them out a little bit later rather than sooner, and that's going to help to prevent you from having a lot of pests, and plus they love the heat, so the more heat that they can get, they will just do much better for you. Here is another warm weather planting: bell peppers, French marigold, and cilantro. You can also add in here, I don't have any right now, but garlic. And again, this is kind of an intuitive planting because you might enjoy bell peppers or hot peppers together with some garlic and cilantro if you're making a salsa. And then finally here we have the companion plants of zucchini squash or yellow summer squash. These are both summer squashes with French marigolds, borage, and radish. So these are some examples to give you a visual of the companion plants that I highly recommend. And I'm going to end leaving the video on this companion planting ultimate guide so that you can get all of this information that I hope will be very helpful for you in your planning for your garden this year, so that you can get the most use out of your space, you can create the most biodiversity, you can attract in the kind of pollinators that you want and deter the pests that you don't want, and you can grow food to heal people and planet. Thanks for joining for this video, and we hope that you will subscribe and come again to join our community of healing people.